I have a lot of friends who are born and raised in monotheistic religions, mostly Christians. They always ask me about how it is to be raised in a polytheistic religion, and they ask me the stories that I have heard when I was growing up. And then I would go on and tell them about Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, and the mythological stories of many gods. Then the day would go on, and we would get a bit more tipsy, and the conversations would move slowly from religion to more like philosophy and all of that. And then I would go on and say things like, oh, there is no such thing as many gods, everything is one, and it's called Shivam. And then my friends would be like, but wait, isn't that the god of destruction and transformation, Shiva? And I'll be like, yes, but not really. Shiva is part of the three major gods in Hinduism. The idea of Shivam is actually beyond a god with a physical form, in a sense. So there are many gods in Hinduism, but also only one. And that's when I realized that when you're born and brought up in one particular tradition, there are so many things that you take for granted, and you just don't realize that somebody who is not born and raised in your own tradition will not have a clue about these distinctions and similarities. So is Hinduism a polytheistic religion or a monotheistic one? That's the question that we are gonna try to answer today. Welcome to Spiritual Yapper. I am Sai. I create videos on Hindu mythology, philosophy, and mysticism. The best examples for monotheistic religions are obviously Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And in case of polytheistic religions, I think the Greek mythology, the Norse mythology, and the one we are going to talk about today, Hinduism. When I was traveling in India for a long time, I used to meet a lot of people who were coming to India from the West looking for spirituality or religion or finding themselves or whatever they travel for. And after the first few weeks of excitement in India, they usually get puzzled by 100,000 gods all over the place and the presence of religion and tradition and rituals in every single thing Indians do. And we actually have a saying that we have around 33 million gods, and in Malayalam it goes something like 33 kodi devangal. Basically one god for each hill and each street. There is a god for learning, that would be Saraswati. There is another god for wealth, that would be Lakshmi. There is another god for removing the obstacles, and that would be Ganapati. Yet another one for the death, and that would be Yama. So who do we actually pray to? That's a good question. And it would depend a lot on where you are from. First of all, that's just one element. If you are from south of India, it's most likely that you are going to be worshipping more Vishnu. And if you are from north of India, it's more likely that you are going to be worshipping Shiva. And if you are, for example, from east, from the Bengal side, West Bengal side, it's the land of Tantrics and people who are worshipping Mahakali. Also, the god you worship can also be based on the family in which you are from, or a family god. So basically, if past 5 generations of your family worshipped one particular god, then that becomes your god as well. Also, the god you worship can also vary according to the wants that you have, the needs that you have. For example, you are trying to learn something new, so you need knowledge, and then you would be worshipping Saraswati. If you are trying to accumulate wealth and become wealthy, and then you would be going for Mahalakshmi. And or maybe you are about to start a business in which you expect a lot of obstacles, and you want these obstacles removed and to have a smooth run, and then you would go to Ganapati. He's the god with an elephant head, and he rides on a rat. I know it sounds silly, but yeah, he appears with an axe and a rope. So basically he will remove the obstacles with the axe and get you to the place you want using the rope to pull you or push you towards wherever you want to go. And just because we Indians were not satisfied by the number of gods, anyway, we are almost 1.5 billion people, so more means you need more gods, So we actually decided to give each of them many names, literally 1,000 names for each of those gods. And I am not exaggerating, there are literally chants that are named 1001 names of Mahavishnu or Vishnu Sahasranamavali in Sanskrit. Some say that each god takes different forms according to the need and want of the seeker, or such are the stories. Well, to make everything a bit more simple, we have three major gods. That would be Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, especially in this particular order. So basically Brahma is known as the creator of the universe, and the story goes something like this, that in the beginning of time, before the existence of time even, there was just this cosmic ocean and nothing else. And one day, or it's not even a day because there is no time yet, in a moment I guess, a golden egg came out of this ocean, and out of it came Brahma. And he then goes on to create the entire universe and cosmos and everything. So this is the story. And it is said that Brahma kind of manifested himself, he created himself, and then the rest of the things. Well, we can settle the chicken or the egg first argument here, so that's settled. Mahavishnu, the second god, on the other hand, is the sustainer of the universe. So Brahma creates, Vishnu sustains. Basically a glorified caretaker in a sense. I hope I'm not offending anybody. And he takes around 10 forms throughout time in order to sustain the universe. Few of the forms are quite known. They are Rama, Narasimha, Parashurama, Krishna, the most famous one. These forms are called Dasha Avataras, or 10 different forms literally in Sanskrit. Mahavishnu in the form of Krishna is actually appearing in Bhagavad Gita, and he is the charioteer of Arjuna. And you can also find another story about Arjuna in one of my previous videos. And anyway, this Mahavishnu is the second god basically. And then we have the third god, which is Shiva. He is known as the destroyer, or the transformer actually. What Brahma creates need to be destroyed at one point. Anything that begins have to end. That's the idea in Hinduism. He performs this cosmic dance in which everything gets destroyed. That's the idea. And then it re-begins again, of course. This idea of destruction or transformation, whichever you want to call it, is also quite similar to the idea of the element fire. Fire can burn you, fire can help you cook food, fire can give you heat and all of that. Whenever fire burns anything, it doesn't destroy it, it merely transforms it into gas. Fire, when it comes in contact with water or solid, it makes it air, I guess, or gas. And that's the idea of Shiva also. He's not destroying anything but merely transforming it into something else. Now we have a general idea of the major trinity in Hinduism, or the major gods in Hinduism. But I need to tell you that nothing is so black and white in Hinduism. Like, there are stories that are always overlapping. Nothing is for certain. In Bhagavad Gita, for example, Mahavishnu, in the form of Krishna obviously, is telling Arjuna in the middle of a battlefield that I am mighty time, the source of destruction that comes forth to annihilate the world. But wait, isn't that Shiva, the destroyer? Yeah, I guess, but it's also Vishnu. And also there is the story of Shiva, who is performing the cosmic dance which destroys the universe, but it also creates the universe. But wait, isn't that the job of Brahma? I guess they change their shifts once in a while. So yeah, there are many gods in Hinduism. And something else that Hinduism is really good at is also slowly stealing your gods. For example, do you know that there is a tomb for Jesus Christ in Kashmir? Buddha, for example, is considered by many as a form of Mahavishnu. It's one of the avatars of Mahavishnu. I grew up in South India in a place called Kerala, and in my home we had a small altar with many gods, and in our altar we had a picture of Jesus, we had a picture of Buddha, we had a picture of Mahavishnu, Shiva, and also one of Holy Mecca. Hinduism is a bit like that one friend we all have who answers to every opinion by saying, yeah, you're right, absolutely, yeah, true. When I started writing script for this video, I didn't expect it to be this long. And anyway, it just ended up being this long. So I'm gonna upload it on the same day, but I'm gonna upload it as 2 videos, and you can click on here and you will be able to get to the second part.